Hey everybody, Shoebox Legends here. Thanks for joining me today for an episode that is going to be a tribute of sorts to one of my favorite brands in the hobby and a little bit of a discussion about something that was kind of cool that went on in the hobby in the early 90s. Most of you may be aware of it, but I'm sure there are some of you who either weren't collecting back then or have long since forgotten it. So let's turn the camera around and get into this set and this brand that I love and talk a little bit about its origins. Stay tuned. All right, here we are in the show the cards angle, and as you can tell by the backdrop, we are going to be talking today about Topps Stadium Club baseball cards. It's probably my favorite modern product line that comes out from Topps. They've been doing it consecutively every year since 2014. But on and off, it has existed as a brand for over 30 years now. Started all the way back in 1991, and decided to do this episode because I did an appearance recently on Dylan's channel at Double D Vintage Baseball Cards, where we did a kind of a roundtable live on the 90s. And I had planned to talk a great deal about this set and some of these concepts, but we kind of got derailed. Not a bad thing at all, but never got around to talking about a lot of this during the live stream, so I wanted to do an episode on my own channel to kind of dive into it. So just to set the context, and Orlando from Collector's Dream kind of talked about this a little bit in the live stream for how this set came about and what the hobby landscape was about or looked like at the time. In the late 80s, obviously Upper Deck came onto the scene, and that's why I have the Griffey Jr. rookie card here, a card that really changed the baseball card game and forced all of the competitors to wake up and pay attention. Topps was not in a monopoly anymore in baseball. They hadn't been since 1981. They'd had Fleer and Donruss along for the ride throughout the 80s, and Score joined later in the 80s. But Upper Deck presented the first real legitimate threat and a company that was honestly doing a better job than Topps was at creating baseball cards. Now, it took them a couple of years to respond and to get their act together. But in 1991, they launched Topps Stadium Club. And this was the inaugural set. First release, and it was their answer to creating a premium baseball card. So we had, you can see with the reflection here, glossy cardstock, high quality color photos, foil work on the bottom of the card here, worked in with the logo and the nameplate. All of those were things that were new to Topps. Like prior to this, it was the old school gray cardboard, no gloss, no foil, so-so photographs, a little bit fuzzy. So they really stepped up their game here. And on the back, and we talked about this as well, includes a shot of the player's rookie card. So I love that card-on-card concept. It's just a really cool way for fans of the game or people like me who was, I was a 7-year-old kid in the summer of 91, or I guess I would have been 8 at that point in the summer of 91. Didn't have access to the internet and a lot of this information. And for me, this was a tremendous resource, being able to use the back of these cards to learn more about the rookie cards of the players that I was following in the game. And I also want to call attention to the stat section here. So in addition to having, last year's stats and career stats at the very bottom of the card, they have this really cool section in the middle where they basically break down how strong a hitter was in different portions of the strike zone and against different handed pitchers. And so that was almost like a very early attempt at advanced statistics on the back of a baseball card. Aside from that, and the rookie card, just awesome color, great layout, easy on the eyes. I just fell in love with this set. I think they did a great job answering the call when Upper Deck kind of changed the game. So for those reasons, I love this set. The fact that it really was a game changer in terms of quality, and the fact that it was the answer to Upper Deck, and the fact that it continues to this day. This is a master photo box topper insert that I pulled out of a blaster of 2022 Stadium Club only very recently. So this brand, and you can see the same logo there that we've had since the early 90s, has persisted all the way through. So I just love the continuity there of the brand. But what I really want to focus on today is the fact that when Stadium Club got its start, it was an actual club. So in the packs of 1991 Stadium Club, where you were pulling, iconic, I think, images like this Nolan Ryan, or the Ken Griffey Jr. at the bat rack, these types of cards. Alongside these cards, you would potentially pull, or I think one in every pack, a membership card to join the Stadium Club. And a lot of times, I think, myself included, when I open a pack, from the boom wax era nowadays, I just toss these to the side or throw them out. But at the time in 1991, this was a great opportunity for a young collector, or really a collector of any age. So you would join the Stadium Club. It was an actual club. You'd fill out your card here with your name and address, send this in, and you'd wait, approximately a few weeks for your membership. And I am happy to say, I was in the hobby at the time as a young kid, and my dad was kind enough to enroll both of my brothers and myself in the Stadium Club. So just kind of neat to be able to be a part of that during its inaugural effort. And I don't know how long it lasted. I think it might have fizzled after just a couple of years. They did have some issues, which we'll talk about here. But the basic gist of it was you got some perks throughout the season. They would send you exclusive boxes of cards in the mail, charter member and members only cards. And these were almost akin to like Topps Now, or early versions of Topps Now, which I love about these. So they basically chronicled the 1991 season across all sports. So, you'd have Wayne Gretzky here, and the very next card, Ken Griffey Jr., Ray Bork. So I'm not going to look at every one of these. That's not the intent of today's episode, but, Barry Bonds. You had football cards mixed in. There's a Derek Thomas or an Otis Anderson, Barry Sanders. So really cool. And on the backs of these, they tell a story about, the 1990 or 91 seasons. So just really cool. These are not valuable. They printed so much of this stuff. So despite the air of, exclusivity of being a club member, you can find these for very cheap coin. But you can imagine, as, me being an 8-year-old kid that summer and that fall, or I guess turning 9 that fall, like how cool it was to get some of these cards in the mail of my favorite players and be able to look back on the season that just transpired, or what was happening, presently in sports, with the great Stadium Club photography to match. They had foil along the bottom that said either charter member or in this case, members only, which members only is actually a parallel that they still continue to make in Stadium Club to this day. But here's a look at a members only packet of cards that would have arrived, and same concept here, except that the foil just says members only on the bottom instead of charter member. So there you go. Look at the foil. So yeah, you would get a couple of exclusive sets of cards like these in the mail, but you got other perks as well. And it definitely wasn't a perfect process. Topps had some issues getting this off the ground, like I mentioned. I actually have here, it's going to be a little tough to fit it in frame, but this is one of the original letters that they sent members of the Stadium Club back in 1992 on official Topps Stadium Club letterhead, which I love. And they say, we're including here some of your, free packs and things like that, free cards, baseball, football in this case. So yeah, you would get letters like this alongside the cards, and I'm really glad that my dad and now myself have preserved some of these over time. Like I almost feel like the letters are kind of cooler than the cards, which you see often and can really pick up anywhere. And then here's the issue that I was referring to. This is another letter from them. But basically, I won't go read the whole letter, but indicates that they were, dealing with some supply problems and frustration from users, and just kind of typical Topps, just showed kind of some of the difficulties they were facing even back then. But here's another letterhead. So these are just cool pieces for me to have to kind of augment the card collection. As a Stadium Club member, you would also get a subscription to the Topps magazine. And again, struggling to keep this in frame, but this is one of our original unopened household Topps magazines from back in the day. It's actually, I don't mind showing the address because we don't live there anymore, but this has my dad's name on it and our former address still on the package. So I've left this one kind of exactly as is. My brothers and I obviously tore into our copies and ripped all the cards out of the inside of them, and Probably read those things until they were dog-eared, but very grateful that my dad joined the club as well and kept his stuff kind of sealed and intact and passed it down to me years ago. Here's another one with another example of what they sent. This one included a 92 membership form to fill out if you wanted to rejoin for a second year. And to entice you into doing that, they sent a couple of unopened packs of Stadium Club from 92, a Series 1 and a Series 2. Another thing I love about these, they mention that they have, Kodak quality or Kodak photography. And in the 80s and early 90s, that was like the name in photography and in household photography. Those of you that were living at the time will probably remember that. So I think that's kind of a funny sign of the times. And the other thing I have from my dad to go along with that magazine, which is just so awesome, because I think my own has probably been lost to the years, you would actually get a membership card. So here's a Stadium Club envelope, again with that great foil work and the logo. And inside this, I have my dad, Alan's, Stadium Club membership card. So this is, something that you would, I guess, if you were very, very proud to be a baseball card collecting nerd, you would take this out and put this into your wallet and carry it around with you, alongside your license and other important cards and things of that nature. So yeah, just really cool to have my dad's inaugural membership card to the Stadium Club. Just kind of one of those priceless pieces in my collection. And then you got a couple of other cool surprises too. So one of the things that I thought was great about it, because I was a huge fan of this particular player, they gave every club member one of these Nolan Ryan gold medallions. Anyone who was around in the early 90s probably remembers these, but it's the image from one of those charter member cards that we looked at in the outset of the episode, done on this bronze card. It's the same size as a standard trading card, but it's like a bronze bust. It does even have a complete back. So this pays tribute to his 3,000th career win. And if you've never held one of these in hand, first of all, it's relatively thick, and this has some weight to it. I mean, this weighs quite a few ounces. You could do some damage throwing this thing at somebody or dropping it. Pretty hefty and kind of cool piece. So every club member got one of these as well. And again, you can pick one of these up on eBay for literally nothing, a couple bucks or a few bucks. But to me, a lot of memories wrapped up in that Nolan Ryan medallion. And that was just more evidence to me that he was an amazing player that I needed to collect as a kid, even though I didn't really know anything about him. And while it's a little bit off topic for this video, it spurred my love of Nolan Ryan. And then I have here a Nolan Ryan signed baseball that came from my dad, since we talked about him in this video and showed his membership card and magazine. He bought this for my birthday for me when I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and it was on display in my childhood bedroom throughout my whole childhood. Still have it now. I've just moved it to this cleaner case because the old one was kind of getting a little bit beat down. But Nolan Ryan autograph ball, which goes nicely with that medallion. And then the last thing, this is really quirky, but just kind of a cool item to show. Every Stadium Club member got a keychain. So everybody that you knew or that you handed your keys to knew that you were a charter member of the Stadium Club. So just awesome to have that. So glad, at the time as a kid, my interest was really only in the cards. And so I'm very, very grateful to my dad for keeping all these other, letters and magazines and keychains and things, because I didn't appreciate them at the time. But looking back on it now, I just think it's so cool that the Stadium Club brand that we know and love today started out as an actual club, and that my family members were charter members of that club. It's just a really neat concept. I don't think ultimately it lasted long, like I said, or was particularly successful for Topps, but I applaud them in their attempt. It was just another example of card companies in the 90s forcing each other to up their game and to be more innovative. And I applaud Topps for not only creating a card set and a card design, and photography level that rivaled Upper Deck and some of its other competitors at the time, but for taking it a step further and actually creating this cool and unique club for kid collectors to be a part of. I think this is something that was very, very smart. And I'm sure I'm not the only adult collector who's still at it today and still spending money on Topps products in this hobby, in part at least due to the Stadium Club and being a member of that club back in the day. So that is the tale of how Stadium Club began as a brand and how Stadium Club used to be an actual club that you could have a membership in. So hopefully this was somewhat new to at least a few of you and wasn't just all regurgitated information. But either way, I think it was a fun look back at a different time in the hobby and a brand that has become very significant and well-loved in its very beginnings. So I appreciate you sticking with me for more than 15 minutes. Did not intend to gab this long, but it's just a subject that I find very interesting. I hope you did as well, and I will certainly be back in the very near future with some more sports card content. Till then, take care and enjoy the hobby.